on percents, decimals, and fractions, and how they're used interchangeably. Did you guys know that percents, decimals, and fractions are all the same thing?
Yep.
Yeah. Did you know that? Percents, Riley, did you know that? So percents, decimals, and fractions, they're all the same thing. They're just different forms of stating it. Did you know that, Bianca? Okay. So it's a different...
Like 50% is 1/2 is 0.5.
Exactly. There you go, Logan. Okay. So by the end of this lesson, you should be able to figure this out. This is a sale that I found online yesterday. Okay. And it says up to 30% off. Okay. Over here we have a Samsung Galaxy. It's $100 with 20% off. Over here we have an Amazon Kindle Fire, and it's $130 with 30% off. It doesn't tell you the actual sale price, so by the end of this lesson, one of the goals is that we're going to be able to figure out which one is the better deal.
With or without a calculator?
With a calculator. Okay, you have one on your phone and I brought two. Okay? So, with that said, okay? So let's just go over the basics first, okay? I'm going to use the example that you used, 1/2. So Bianca, is this a fraction, percent, or decimal? It's a fraction. And then you said that's equal, do you know what 1/2 is equal to?
0.5.
0.5. And what is that? A fraction, decimal, or percent?
Decimal.
Decimal, we can tell because it has that.
And if I'm correct, if you add a 0 to that decimal, it becomes a percentage.
Very good.
Which is 50%.
Good. And that would be, Riley, fraction, decimal, or percent? The percent. Good. So you guys know what the fraction looks like, what the decimal looks like, and what the percent looks like. Now we're going to learn how to use them interchangeably. Okay? This might be a refresher course for you. It might be something new to you and you. And it might be something that you're still working with, right? Okay? So, to turn the fraction into a decimal, do you guys know how to do it? Do you know how to do it, John? Can you put the
Oh, just for clarification, numerator at the top,
numerator is top.
divide the numerator by the denominator.
There you go. So, can you do that in the calculator for me, Bianca? How do we do it? You take 1, good, type in 1, and then we're going to divide it by the bottom number. So, a fraction is just a division problem. It's the top number divided by the bottom number. Yeah, 1 divided by 2 equals. And what do we get? Do we get this? Yeah, good. And then Jonathan, you explained how do you get the percent?
You add a 0 to the...
You add a 0. Well, you add a, if it's one number like that, then yes, you do add a 0. Okay? But if it's
Something like 0.51.
0.51.
That's obviously going to be 51%.
Okay, what if, so it'd be 51%. So only if it is
But still, if you add
to the tenths, that's where you would add the 0 to make it a percent. Okay? And then if it already has 2, then we just take that and turn it into percent, right?
What happens if it goes to the hundreds?
There you go. What if it is
0.625.
Well, let's use this one. 0.513.
You just make it 51.3%.
You could do that. Good. It could equal 51.3%. So we just add the decimal to it, or we could round it. Because what if it asks for an exact percent, right?
And 51 too.
And then it'd be 51%. If it's 5 and over, we go up, right, brother? Okay. So let's do a couple examples.
Mark, I have a question.
Yes.
Isn't there such thing as over 100% in some cases?
Yes, but if it's over 100%, it's going to be more than what it was originally. So if it's like 110% of 10, it's going to be 11.
You understand.
So it's going to be higher than what the 100% is. Okay?
I understand that because of some games I play.
Oh, really? Yeah, they involve a lot of percentages too. Right? And so after this, Jonathan, you kind of see how maybe percent you could convert it into a fraction. You can see what fraction of health you have left in a game or something like that, or what the decimal is. Let me ask you guys first, what do you guys like using best, or what do you feel is the easiest to use? A fraction, a decimal, or a percent?
Decimal.
You like using decimal?
Yep.
You like using...
Yeah, it depends on what the situation is, but mostly decimal.
What do you like using?
But at least one of the games I play uses this a percent
Okay.
to measure integrity.
Yeah. Do you have a preference? No? What about you, Bianca? Do you have a preference on which one to use? Okay. I'm with Logan and Jonathan. I like using decimals. It's always easiest because one, it's more of a real number, and two, you can plug a decimal into the calculator, right? So it makes it easier. So if ever you see a fraction and you don't know how to work with it, you could usually turn it into a decimal and plug it into the
That's
calculator.
up with the answer itself requires a fraction.
Then you might need to turn it back. In some cases, you might need to turn it back into a fraction.
But does that escape the scope of our lesson?
Kind of. I mean, as long as you guys are playing with the idea that these are interchangeable, that's what this lesson is about. Okay?
Okay.
So let's start with an example. I'm going to have each of you guys do one, and we're going to do them one at a time, so you guys can just watch and observe first. Okay. Why don't one of you give me a fraction? Any fraction.
1 over 256.
1 over 256. How about, that's going to be a really small decimal. How about we, something a little easier?
4 over 50.
4 over 50, that's a good one. Okay. Let's see, Logan, why don't you convert, can you convert that into a decimal form? Do you want to come up with it? You can use the calculator if you want to.
Okay. 0.08.
0.08. And what is that as a percent?
8%, I believe.
8%. Electronic said.
Is that right? Does that make sense to you, Riley? Does that make sense to you, Bianca? How this turns into 8%? Because we have a 0 here. Okay? So since we have a 0 here, we're gonna have, it's kind of like putting a 0 there. Do you see that? So does it make a little bit of sense? Yeah?
Is it okay if I add a them?
Sure, of course.
With the denominator, adding the or subtracting from the numerator, they're modified to percent and 2% increments.
What do you mean? Oh, so you're saying by adding 1 here, it'll go up 2% each time?
Yeah.
Ah, you're a little
It's a ratio.
Yeah, it is. It really
Yeah,
is.
I see.
You see what you're saying? You think if you make this a 5, this is going to be plus 0.02, and it's going to be plus 2%. So he's noticing the pattern already. Okay?
Yeah, I kind of saw the pattern.
You saw it already? Okay, so let's have Riley try one. This eraser's not very good.
I can tell.
Okay, someone give Riley a fraction. Sure.
Easy, medium, or hard?
Whatever you want to give her.
48 over 90.
48 over 90.
45 over 90.
He said 48, so let's go 48. 48.